Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident panelist, as always, Ryan Schlipp. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. So this is Packernet After Dark during the day. It's an off-season thing. Calls are flowing in at a trickle, so it's just makes more sense to kind of do it this way. This and or tag them on the end of shows. I don't know. I do whatever I want. But new callers, go directly to the front of the line if you'd like to call in, 608-501-0718. We don't have any new callers, but we got Jersey Mike. That's Mike, not Mark. For those of you that are not idiots. Jersey Mike, what's going on?
Hey, Ryan, it's Jersey Mike.
Yo.
Sorry, it's been a while. I feel like I've made this call like 6 times, but I've had so much going on that I haven't had time to process a thought about the Packers for more than 5 seconds, and that's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Kind of sad. And then I'm listening to your podcast, and the whole your family trying to get you to go upstairs, and man, I gotta ask you a question. Are you all right? Do you want me to come over there and break Alexa's teeth? Like, is that what I have to prepare for, being a father soon? Yeah, a lot's been going on. Anyway. So Packers. I've got a sneaking suspicion that this year is special. I'm looking at all of our draft prospects. I'm looking at the team we've got. I'm looking at getting, rid of Jair. I'm looking at all these things. And policy coming in, and, Murphy's saying, go out there, guys, you can get a Super Bowl. I mean, last time they started talking about all Super Bowl. We're in on the Super Bowl this, Super Bowl that. But where did we go? Where did we end up? I mean, it's that time. I'm ready for it. It would be great. So I think things are looking up that way. We got to stay healthy this season. I think that's going to be the biggest metric on if this team succeeds. Can the stars stay healthy? We need Rashan Gary on the field the majority of the season. It's just a necessity. I think if we have Rashan Gary on the field, I think if the guys that we rely on to start are on the field, I think if Golden gets, a decent share of snaps and opportunities, I think that this is definitely a Super Bowl caliber team and a Super Bowl roster. But yeah, anyway, I don't know what else to be excited about. The news is thin right now until we get to, actual training camp. So anyway, it's nice talking to y'all after it's been a while. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only real argument I can think that it would be against what you're saying, for example, if I were to agree, which I do, that the Packers are Super Bowl contenders, immediately people would point out other teams. Well, you're not as good as... Okay, it doesn't matter. I never said that I think the Packers are going to be the best team in football this year. I didn't say that. Because you don't have to be, in the offseason, the best constructed roster to win a Super Bowl. That's not how that works. In fact, I've said numerous times, the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't know if they've ever been the best constructed roster in football in all the years that they won Super Bowls. They've been a very good roster, and obviously when you have a quarterback like Pat Mahomes, that adds a lot to it. But they never had the most complete, well-rounded bunch of blue chippers everywhere. They got Mahomes, a tight end, really good defensive tackle. I mean, blue chippers? I don't know who else. Maybe there's an offensive lineman snuck in there somewhere or something that I'm missing. Are they capable of winning a Super Bowl? Aside from the super negative fans who are going to be ridiculous, the obvious answer is yes. They have what they need. We need health, right? At least we're not going to have perfect health. Nobody does. But we can't have an injured quarterback, at least insofar as it affects his ability to be a very good quarterback. You're right about Rashan, right? Or we have to have a pass rusher. Ideally pass rushers, but I mean, if you lose Rashan, you lose your quarterback, whether that's actually out or just may as well be out because of injury. Yeah, you're kind of screwed. But they have the components. And by the way, if you disagree, tell me who's going to win the Super Bowl and put your entire life savings on it. If you can't do that, why can't you do that? Is it because sitting here in June, judging what you think is the best constructed roster isn't good enough information to know who's going to win a Super Bowl? Does that mean that you have to kind of broaden your thinking a little bit and that there are numerous teams that are actually capable of winning a Super Bowl? And do you further believe, Your Honor? I don't usually talk to Your Honor, but just felt like I was doing a courtroom thing here. Would you further believe that the Packers are within that circle that you'd have to draw? Which, hilariously, that would actually be a good question. Because, again, negative fans want to be all black and white about everything. Oh, they're never. Okay, fine. How big does the circle have to be in terms of around a bunch of teams? In other words, let's say you have to bet $10,000. You have to. Draw a circle around as many teams as you want. How big is that circle before you feel confident? Let's say the money went down a little bit for every team. Because I'll just do all 32. Okay, well, but that's not necessary, right? You don't have to do that. So who's on the outside of the circle? Who do you know is not going to win the Super Bowl this year? Would you have to circle all 32 teams? Would there be 10 teams out of that circle? 20 teams? And again, are the Packers in or out of that circle? Be completely honest. If you're tend to be a more negative Packer fan and you're telling me the Packers are outside of the circle, meaning you would be willing to put $10,000 of your own money on the line to bet on any team in football winning the Super Bowl, and you know the Packers are on the outside, you're being stupid because you know the Packers can win a Super Bowl. You know that. So stop being so black and white and definitive about everything. Well, if you think they're Super Bowl contenders, you're an idiot. If you think they can win a Super Bowl with the roster they have, you know they can. You just happen to know, based on basic math, that they're probably not going to win a Super Bowl, which applies to every team in the NFL. And so when they don't win, you get to do a little victory lap. See, I told you they weren't good enough. See, I told you we should have fired him. See, I told you we should have never let Rodgers go. Told you we should have drafted T. Higgins. TJ Watt. They will never bet any of their own money on their own mouth, though. Guaranteed. I got to find a way to do that. I got to go find the negative fans. That's what, you know what? I got to find a way to do that. That would be the best experiment I could ever do. And we should do it with like the NFC North and like just all 32 teams if we could. The bottom line is, put your money where your mouth is. That'll be the name of the website. Put your money where your mouth is. And it's just like the betting thing that we have now, set up almost the exact same way. But you can bet as much as you want, as confident as you are. Go ahead and put it down and let's see. We'll just have to mark people. You know, you're a Packer fan, so you have like 32 teams and you're either positive or negative, right? Packers are going to do all this stuff. We're going to win the Super Bowl. And as we go through week to week, it would be hilarious watching. Because one thing I know for sure, negative Packer fans would be getting eviscerated by the end of the season. The amount of negativity about wins and losses and all these things, the Packers win most of their games. So negative Packer fans would just be in the absolute negative. Be a great time to do stuff in the offseason too. Which teams do you think were the best? And then watch as all these bullcrap teams who went out and spent all this money on a bunch of nonsense players go on to not get better. You imagine how much they would have lost betting on the Jets after they got Rodgers? There needs to be some kind of a put your money where your mouth is mechanism out there. This has to be one. It'd be great too if it was like you were able to integrate it into social media. See, this could be even like a bigger thing. So that somebody says something and you just comment below with a link to put your money where your mouth is. Could make it like, so you can actually log in with your account so you can see people on social media. Oh, maybe that's the idea. Integrate it at least with X. And so you can look up X accounts and see. And if they don't have an account, then they're just not willing to put their money where their mouth is. And so they're a bunch of cowards. Go ahead. Be a man. Put your money where your mouth is. I like that. I'm going to work on that. Anyways. 1265, what's going on?
Hey, long time no call.
What up?
Well, I guess not that long, because I find a call about Jair.
It's been a while,
That was pretty short.
think.
So, yeah, how's everybody doing on this hot
It's been hot.
weekend? It is hotter than the
Careful.
hinges and the gates of Hades.
Okay, that was a safe.
It's like walking through soup outside. It's so f***ing hot.
Whoa!
Sorry. It could scald a lizard.
Let me go ahead and grab that one real quick. I was expecting some, like, crude, it's so hot kind of a thing. And then we got through safe, and I was like, oh, phew, we're good. And then just slams in an F-bomb. That was well done.
Lizard. It could scald a lizard. It's so hot outside.
Mm-hmm.
Blech. I hate it. Hate it. I would take...
Well, you are a solid Wisconsinite. I am a terrible Wisconsinite. I will live in scorching, miserable, awful heat every day of the week if I never have to see a snowflake for the rest of my life.
0 degrees over 90s.
Nope, never.
That's what I would do. I would take 0.
0 has never been enjoyable in my life. I've never been like, yay, it's 0. You know how many times I've enjoyed 90, being out on the beach? 90's party time. 90's a fun time. I mean, it's not always great if you have to do manual labor or something. It's not the best. But you're out there, you're getting a tan, it's summertime, just freaking killing it. A little hard to breathe. It'd be all right. 0? Maybe as a kid, when you're playing in the snow, it's fun. As an adult, I've never enjoyed 0. I will never enjoy 0. It's horrible. Nothing works. The air hurts you. It's just freaking terrible.
I can put a coat on. I cannot walk around naked. You get arrested for doing that.
You do.
Unless you're like a baby or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
shouldn't be outside in 90
beyond the
degrees.
heat, I hope everybody's having a good weekend. I just called because I thought, it's kind of a cool year for me because I usually pick a rookie to watch,
Yeah.
And last year, I picked MarShawn Lloyd right before he went on IR and all that
Then
stuff.
don't pick
Yay.
anyone, please.
So now this year I have 2. So I have MarShawn Lloyd still, because we didn't get to see him play.
He's screwed.
And I have Baron Sorrell.
Okay.
So I thought, I'm going to look at some tape on those 2 guys. Because I know I watched MarShawn Lloyd last year, but whole year's passed. I forget all that crap. So I did watch Baron Sorrell. Man, he's got so much upside, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do I love his personality, I mean, how can you not love that guy, right?
Yep.
But in watching his highlights, he's got some really good hands on him. He really does. His hands never quit. With punching, pushing, all the other terms. I'm not a tapes girl, so anyway, you know what I'm saying. I mean, he helps in the run, too. He's got such freaking passion. And I think that's really what makes him him. His passion is just off the charts, which probably makes his work ethic really good. And then MarShawn Lloyd, oh my God, that guy's thick. Yeah, man, he is thick.
Mm-hmm.
And he just bowls over everybody. He might have to learn a little more discipline in the NFL, because I heard he likes to kind of run wherever and not necessarily always follow blocks. And he's got some fumble. Oh, crap, it's going to run out. Hold on.
Okay, part 2, here we go.
Anywho. So, yeah, MarShawn Lloyd, I think he's going to have to learn a little more discipline, and maybe having all of last year to watch, learn the offense, get tips, work on your hands, Mr. Fumbleina. Hopefully he can have a really good year this year. I would love to see that guy. I really would. I'm excited to see him run. He just looks like a really exciting runner.
He does.
And in the midst of watching all the MarShawn Lloyd highlights, I accidentally clicked on a Marshawn Lynch highlight reel.
That's fun.
And holy wowza. Dude, I forgot all about that guy. He was amazing. Amazing, that guy. Talk about never quit. And the balance that guy had, oh my God, he would run through everything. It looked like he would touch a guy and he'd fall over, but no, that was his power. he looked like it wasn't hard. But oh my lordy May. Wow.
Yeah, he was fun.
He had what do they call it? The something quake. The beast quake.
Yep.
He was beast mode. Yep. Yeah, man. I would love to see MarShawn Lloyd be like Marshawn Lynch, but I know it's not a thing. I know. Don't even come at me. All right. Well, we're in the doldrums in the dead season, and it'll be a bit before football, but you know what? Now it's time to go out and maybe have a little bit of fun. Not while it's in the 90s. No, stay in your air conditioning.
Right, never.
Or stay in the water if you're in a lake or by a river somewhere. Just stay cool, everybody, all right? All right. Go Pickle!
Oh, I always stay cool. Yeah, I am a big, and you can probably tell by the way I talk about it, I do get excited about MarShawn Lloyd just based on the little bit that we've seen. Probably shouldn't because his ceiling is RB2, obviously. And we're talking running back, so it's not like flashy. I mean, it's flashy, but I don't know. I just exactly like you said. I'm excited to see him run. I'm excited to see him actually do stuff because we didn't get the chance to see him do that. He didn't really accomplish much in the little bit that we saw of him, but it was just one of those. There was little bits where you watch and go, "Oh, hello there. What was that?" So he's got the big build and the ability to make those sharp cuts and whatnot. There still has to be that, vision and whatnot to be able to put it all together and make it work. But I'm just excited to see it. I'm excited to see if he can do it. Maybe he can't. I don't know. But I'm just excited for training camp. I'm excited to see all these guys get in there. Some of this stuff is definitely going to surprise us. We don't know who it's going to be. That's part of the excitement. I know a lot of us were fans of Williams, the safety, but I don't know that any of us would have handpicked him. Obviously, Edgerrin Cooper was the rookie du jour, but I don't even think I used that properly. But du jour, stupid. Of the year, was it Day-An? That was close. It's Ane. Day-Ane of the year. Anyways, doesn't matter. Not French class today or ever again. But yeah, Evan Williams, again, even though I think most of us liked him when we watched him, kind of ooh, that's a nice little pick there. He would not have been at the top of a lot of lists, and I think if we were putting money down, Bullard probably would have been ahead, and maybe even Oladapo for some people. By the way, tomorrow we're talking safeties, and at the end I kind of came to the conclusion that I think we just have a bunch of really good safeties. Maybe really good is an exaggeration, but there's a chance. There's promising signs for our top 4 safeties at least. But very excited. We got a lot of second-year guys to keep an eye on. Lucas Van Ness I want to keep an eye on going into year 3. Obviously, the entire rookie class, very excited to dig into. So, should be fun. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got Daniel from California.
Hey Ryan, Daniel from California.
Yo.
I just thinking about Jair getting let go and then signed by the Ravens. I don't know what other people think, but I think this just makes our cornerback room stay the same. Because unfortunately, we love Jair. I feel bad for Clayton and Jake and Tim's soundboard because they lost a little bit of soundboard stuff right there.
Yeah.
But he's missed so much time, and we got some younger guys that have an opportunity to get some more reps because he stays healthy for half the season. He's taking all the reps in training camp. Now we can get a chance for Valentine, Nixon, and now newcomer Hobbs. These guys can get more of the reps they need to perform. Yeah, we probably need one more decent guy in there to fill up that room, but. I'm actually a big Carrington Valentine fan, so
yeah.
I really want to see what that guy can do.
Yeah, and again, that was one that was from 2 days ago when I did corners, where I mentioned I was even surprised a little bit by Valentine, and it was 3 days ago. A little surprised by what I saw in Valentine. So, again, I don't know. Based on preliminary, minicamp reports, he's kind of the odd man out right now among corners. But I don't know. I don't want to say I'm rooting for him because obviously I'm rooting for Bullard to be what the Packers are hoping he can be and all that stuff too. But just based on what he did yesterday as a 7th-round pick, I think he's really exceeded expectations and deserves a spot based on what he did. And I hope that, assuming that wasn't a fluke and assuming he's still that dude and assuming he can still play at that level, that they're not just going to hand that spot to somebody else because we brought in a new guy and we want Bullard to be where he is because he's a 2nd-round pick and all that bull crap. I don't want to do that. Get your best 3 out there. And I know you don't want to put Nixon in the slot, and I know you don't want to put Hobbs in the slot, but they can play in the slot. Both of them can. Don't put Bullard in the slot if he's still bad because you don't want to put those 2 guys in the slot when Valentine can hold it down on the edge. You know what I'm saying? I know they know that, but I also know the temptation is going to be there. The resistance to do those things, to, bench a 2nd-round pick or to put Nixon or Hobbs in the slot, those are things they don't want to do. Whatever resistance you have, knock it off. Just let it go.
Some of the PFF grades, like they don't all look good, but when I just watch him, dude, he just looks like a good corner.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying he's like shut down top 10, but he just looks solid. He looks better than what Stokes ever looked like. Like, I don't know, he kind of just seems like a 4-man Rasul when we had Rasul. Like, he just does his job. He stands there. He puts pressure on you, and I think I'm a big Carrington Valentine fan. Keyshawn, we've seen like flashes from Keyshawn. Like, the guy needs reps, so letting these guys get their chance to like be in that position, I think that's a plus for them because they were splitting reps with Stokes and Alexander, and I don't know, like we in our hearts wanted Stokes to work out, but it was just stealing reps. These guys, the guys under your nose that you're like, oh, these guys are kind of good, right? They're solid depth under Stokes and Alexander, but turns out those guys weren't long for the tooth, and these are the guys we got. So let's let these guys get the reps. Like, obviously you lose All-Pro, you're getting worse, but we all knew that wasn't a long-term vision. So let's let these guys get the reps, and if we need to add some depth. I'm pretty sure if we go into week 1 of training camp and these guys don't look that good, Goody will add somebody, right? But we went basically half the season and we had a top 5 defense, top 10 defense with these guys. So I don't think I think Nate Hobbs will, as long as he can stay healthy, which is a giant thing. But I think we're fine. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah, I never want to cut in because there's sometimes a little goodbye or something snuck in there. Yeah, it's not time to panic until it's time to panic. And I don't think right now we have a real reason to, right? I mean, I've said it now 1,000 times, but, based on what we did last year, saying that we are basically the exact same group, but replaced Hobbs and Stokes, is reason to panic, is the same level and same reason for being stupid as the people who are like, it's the same team, now we're not a playoff team. Bro, if we're the same team, how are we not a playoff team when we went to the playoffs, dummy? This isn't a playoff team. Why? What are you talking about?
Hey, Ryan, TJ from Alabama.
Yo.
So I acknowledge this is incredibly clickbaity because it's like from Athlon Sports or Sports Illustrated, the same guys who, last year said we were going to trade Christian Watson and the first-round pick for Cooper Kupp and, stupid crap like that. However, it's the dead period, and I just click on this stuff for entertainment value, yada, yada. So today I was seeing the top 10 first-round busts from 2024. So, yes, I clicked on it, and lo and behold, Roman Dunze, Dallas Turner, and Terrion Arnold were all well represented in the first-round bust category. And while I completely acknowledge that it's a little early, be it 1 year into it, I also completely acknowledge that the Packers' number 1 pick, Jordan Morgan, basically didn't play at all. I still found it fun and interesting that Rome, Dallas, and Terrion were all included. And if you look how they played last year, I can see it, that none of them, really stood out above the rest. And that doesn't mean they're not going to have great second years, but it's good to see that the NFC North, other than the Packers, were well represented in the 2024 first-round bust category, and it struck me interesting enough to give you a call. That's it. Thanks. Go Pack, go.
Well, you didn't directly say whether or not Morgan was on that list. I'm guessing not. But I will say, because obviously it seems a little silly. Oh, how could Morgan not be on the list? I will say this. Not playing due to injury is not the worst thing that could happen. Playing and looking like complete dog crap is worse. It just is. Because we at least have hope for Morgan. We're looking at it going, hey, I have no reason to believe the guy can't play. I don't. I mean, maybe a little bit here. Well, he in the offseason, he wasn't immediately starting at left tackle or right guard or whatever. And, he played early in the season and it wasn't maybe the greatest and whatever. But, I mean, Terrion Arnold was... Plus, when you're picked matters. If you're a late first-round pick and you're injured, frickin' what am I supposed to take from this? If you're an early first-round pick, like, Odunze or Caleb, that's a pretty big considering Caleb and Odunze were supposed to be the second coming of frickin' Young and Rice, and Caleb looked like basically a slower Justin Fields, and Rome Odunze just had no business being on the football field. That is a shockingly terrible thing. And I understand Bears fans going, oh, you're exaggerating, and it actually wasn't that bad, and if you watch the tape, and blah, 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 and it was the offensive coordinator's fault. Which, by the way, I was thinking about this the other day, how Bears fans do this logical leap from, well, the offensive coordinator was bad, therefore I have confidence in Caleb. It's like, my stove didn't work, therefore I'm a Michelin star chef. Like, wait a minute. I understand that, your pot roast sucked because the stove is, or the oven stove combo thing, that whole unit, it's broken, and so you can't really make a good roast. You had to pop it in the microwave. It's terrible, right? It is what it is. You can't make a frickin' leap from, therefore, I'm a Michelin star chef. All I saw was dog crap. And if you want to say, well, you ever seen that, speaking of Michelin star chefs, Gordon Ramsay, one of his 50 billion shows is, I don't remember the name of it, but it has levels to it. There's actually an elevator. So at the top floor is all the nicest equipment. And on the bottom floor, they have like dull knives and everything else. I get that he was on the bottom floor. But you know what? Sometimes guys win on the bottom floor. Sometimes people create great dishes on the bottom floor. You know what's required? To be a great chef. And you can use bad tools. It actually happens all the time. Great quarterbacks overcome adversity. Aaron Rodgers, how many times have we had to hear all the complaints about all the things he had to endure? Usually it was on the defensive side, but occasionally it was on the offensive side. But guess what? He's still freaking Aaron Rodgers. And then if you're the Lions, who, by the way, have been praised for being, and I think rightly so to this point, maybe the best drafting team in the last, 3 years or something. But to draft Terrion Arnold and to have him be maybe the worst corner in all of football, and considering their history of cornerback draft, I mean, corners have been tough. The Packers have had their problems with corner. Jair is really the only thing that interrupted this long line of just terrible cornerback drafting. Just terrible. Terrible. But look at the Vikings. I think they've been worse. And look at the Lions. That could even be worse. They drafted one of the best cornerback prospects in, a decade? Decades? And he can't even find a job right now. Then they go and get Terrion Arnold. He was a later first-round pick, but still considered one of the best, if not the best, in the entire class. Dog crap. The Bears are the only team that seem to be able to draft corners that don't completely crap the bed, even though they've had varied success. I like to remind Packer fans of that once in a while when they get this pity party of, oh, look, another Gutekunst masterclass. This guy's not good, or this guy was hurt and didn't play. Brr, 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 brr. Lions are this great team, and the Vikings are a great team, and everybody else is a great team except us. Are you even looking? Are you even trying to look? Do you have any idea what you're talking about? The Lions had one of the worst draft picks and still kicked the crap out of everybody. So what are you talking about? No, the Packers made a mistake, and therefore the GM sucks, and therefore we're never going to win a Super Bowl. Dude, just stop trying to think. Because you're not even, you're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting all of us. This is painful listening to you. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We got more 1265.
Hi there.
Hello.
1265 fan here.
What's going on?
I was listening to Aaron Nagler the other day because I watch him on YouTube sometimes, and
Yeah.
he brought something up, and I thought, yeah, I remember that, and yeah, this is why I'm kind of been MIA over the last maybe year. Well, that along with just some personal family stuff that was going on, but yeah, this is why I kind of switched up from what I used to do. I used to be just a football head, like 24/7, 365, and this started with probably in my, I don't know, mid-20s. So yes, that was right after the Brett Favre Super Bowl and all that other stuff. But here's what Nagler mentioned in his thing. He said when you were young, you literally had a real break from football.
Right.
Because they didn't, like, the media wasn't covering football 24/7, 365.
Right.
When the season was done, it was pretty much done, and there wasn't really a whole lot out there. This was before podcasts
and even the draft was not a big deal. Like it just was not. I don't remember when that big shift happened, but I mentioned this before. I remember trying to be excited about the draft sometime in the 90s, and I remember being at my grandma's house and sitting on the floor watching the TV, and it was just like a ticker going by, and there were 60 billion different picks, and I think that was back when there were more round, like 13 rounds or something, and you could only keep your enthusiasm as much as you wanted to be excited, not only because the presentation was bad, and the NFL did not really capture what they had available to them, which they do a phenomenal job of now, but the information. You didn't really have the internet. If you wanted to know about the draft, there was probably a magazine or something you'd have to order, and that was it. And I never ordered. Nobody knew anything about it. I mean, just even our ability to communicate with not having social media. I mean, who are you going to converse with? How are you going to have these constant conversations about things and throw ideas around? You didn't have podcasts. You didn't have YouTube. You didn't have freaking internet. You didn't have anything. Now, you never have to quit. You get as much football as you want on demand. Like I've said before, the offseason really is only this little 4 or 5 week period right now. This is the actual dead season. Whereas it used to be once the Super Bowl was, and I was proud of myself for even when I was doing the podcast, once the Packers season ended, making it through the offseason to the next period was a big challenge. And I was proud of myself because I was like, wow, that big span, I made it through. In reality, there's content pretty much, there's a couple of weeks where it's pretty dry, but I mean, there's something coming up in the near future within the next month for sure. Weeks probably, especially when you consider the bowls and all the, Senior Bowl and East-West Shrine Bowl and the combines and the school freaking little things that they do, all the little things, and then leading up to the draft is just a thing in and of itself. The weeks leading up to the draft, it doesn't matter if there's no events. It's just such a huge thing. And then immediately after that, you've got, you're meeting with the media, and you got well, we just went through it. I don't need to list it all for you, but yeah, it just doesn't end. And the NFL, I think to their credit, and a lot of people seem to get mad at them about, oh, you keep adding things and you keep growing things, and I know the players get annoyed by it, but as a consumer, as a fan, I want somebody in charge of the NFL to connect that 5 weeks. Find a way to put something in those 5 weeks. Either, start the preseason earlier, start the training camps earlier, push something out a little later. I know when you add another week, this is part of the reason why I'm in favor of expanding this. I know people get all upset about it. Oh, the players don't want it. And I get it. What I would like to see is to add 2 weeks, an actual week and a bye week. That way you're giving players that extra bye week is massive. So every team gets an early and a late bye week. And so even though, there's 2 more weeks, you're only adding 1 more week of playing and you're getting 1 extra week of rest. That to me would be fantastic. So then you push everything back 2 weeks, push the entire offseason off 2 weeks. Now we only have a 3-week dead period. And stick something in there. I don't know what it is. Put some kind of put the Pro Bowl there. Because I don't care about the Pro Bowl. I think the Pro Bowl is stupid. But you know what? It's so dry and it's so dead right now. I would watch the Pro Bowl. I would cover the Pro Bowl. I would talk about the Pro Bowl. This is the time to put your worst product right now. I don't know. I don't know how you could actually do that because teams are going to be real pissed. Like, excuse me, I'm trying to get the season ready. If somebody gets hurt now, they could be done for the season as opposed to early. I don't know. Do something. But yeah, it's for me, it's fantastic. Maybe that's not the point you're making, but I'm glad that there's always football all the time.
Just all the stuff, all the gradings, and there was something to be said for that because when you take a break like that, it can lead you to reset your expectations once the season comes closer. Because you're not thinking about it 24/7 and letting all these talking heads fill your brain with all this, but crap.
Yeah.
In the end, that's kind of what most of this is a bunch of crap. You can't dictate what's going to happen in the game of football. You can't dictate who's going to get hurt, who's not, or even who's going to be good. From one year to the next, that same player could be bad and then good and then bad. And it's just all this stuff, all of this information, it's become too much. At least for me. I don't know how anybody else feels, but I kind of miss the simpler times. And for a while there, I let football affect me like that every day. And I don't think I was in a better headspace. I really don't.
Well, I can tell you I'm not, as you can tell just by the ranting and all that is kind of my shtick, but I don't fake it. I've never faked it. It's just there's a topic and I get riled up about it. And a lot of the times it's kind of what you're talking about. It's this over-analysis. That's a lot of what the negative stuff is. And you get to the point where you come into the season angry. You go back to 2004, go back to 97, go back to 92. When the season started, there was nothing angry. Everybody's excited. And you don't really know much. You don't know much about your own team. You don't know who these new players are. You don't know that much about anything. And so you're allowed to have whatever expectations you want. Everything's kind of a reset. With all this information, it depends how you handle it. Obviously, some people don't handle it well, which causes me to be upset with them for being doom and gloom. But there are a large amount of people that come into the season already defeated, already angry, already given up. We haven't even started yet. And yet here we are, frustrated and thinking we have things figured out, which is what I was talking about before with the black and white thinking. This idea that we know something. And it's because that's how a lot of people in the media talk. Definitively. This person's going to have a great year. 10 reasons why this player is not going to do this. Here's why these teams are going to win their divisions. Man, we got it all figured. It's just like by the time we get to the draft, we got it all figured out. And any deviation from that, oh, you absolute idiots. Because we've spent so much time analyzing. We know what you're supposed to be doing right now. And you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So you must be an idiot. Rather than just kind of enjoying the draft. Which, again, is a whole other issue in and of itself. Which is where I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It certainly can be draining, especially a lot of the negative stuff and maybe the over-analysis. And this is where I kind of struggle, too, because it's not hard thinking of topics. There's a ton of... I just struggle to get myself to do them because they're so cheesy and lame. The top 10 this, the 20 reasons this, and it's so boring to me. Ranking all our players from best to worst. Like I don't want to do that. That's not interesting. occasionally something will come along, and for whatever reason, it's like, oh yeah, we should look into that, because it's maybe, I was contemplating doing something about trade candidates, which I know it's kind of a weird time to kind of do that, but it just kind of sparked something in my head from sort of a I think philosophical is overstating it, but just from like a learning standpoint of saying, what does it actually take, first of all, to be a trade candidate, rather than just, because this is what people, they casually just throw crap out there. I want to actually stop and say, okay, what defines a trade candidate? What is it about the player, about their contract, about all these things, and then kind of go through the Packers roster and say who fits those criteria and to what degree, just for the sake of interest. But I feel like a lot of times people do stuff just to do stuff. Like, we got to do our top 10 lists and we got to go through this, and it's just, I don't know, man. I don't want this podcast to just be garbage. My hope is that when I do something, it's not just content for the sake of content, right? When I almost feel kind of like I'm being lazy by saying, okay, let's do corners now, let's do safeties now. But at the same time, it does kind of fulfill that core mission of, I do think it's important. I'm not doing it just to fill time. I mean it when I say, like, as the season starts, let's reframe and remember and refocus what really is. And part of it is exactly what you're talking about, 1265, where we've been so poisoned over the offseason with narratives. Let's try to get back to what is actually real. Let's recenter. And we know that, some people will get better, some people will get worse, things will change, whatever. But let's at least start from ground zero. Let's forget all the nonsense that we've built up. Let's tear that down and remember and rightly understand where we're standing, right? This is the season that they had. Remember this guy? We drafted him, and then he did this, and this is how he performed. And then he got hurt, and so we got him on it. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. To me, that's valuable. I can't know what you guys are into, and if you like the top 5 lists and the top 10 lists just as like junk food stuff, you're probably not listening to me right now. There's a ton of that going on. I spent a lot of time searching, like, what are other content creators talking about, to try to get ideas of what's out there, and I just don't like it. I just don't. I don't want to do it. I'm not trying to trash people that do that. I mean, it's everybody kind of comes into this with different strengths and weaknesses, and provide different kinds of content for different kinds of people who want different kinds of content. I'm not trying to say one is better than the other. I'm just telling you from my perspective that I agree with what you're saying, and it's the reason why I try to do the things that I do. Because this can be very toxic. In fact, there have been several years right around this time of year where I've stepped away from the podcast. And a lot of times at this time of the year, I have people reach out to me saying, dude, you should take a break, because I start getting so sick. Because in these extreme dead periods, especially when there's no content, which is kind of bad for 2 reasons. Number one, the dead periods are when people get psycho and start saying crazy stuff, which causes me to go crazy. But number 2, there's nothing to ground me. I don't have a football game coming up. I don't have something exciting going on tomorrow. All I have is this endless void into the future of just awfulness. And it just turns into I'm not there right now, just to be clear. I'm feeling good. Everything's going great. Slight panic from day to day about, like, what the heck am I going to talk about? But I figure it out. We get there. Things come up. And of course, appreciation for all the callers for helping to fill this time with what I think is still, good quality content. But I certainly don't blame anybody from stepping away. I would be, if I didn't have a podcast, I would not be doing this 24/7. I wouldn't. Especially around this time, I'd be stepping away. The problem is I'd be going psycho whenever there is something going on, trying to get my opinion out there, because it makes me go nuts. So take the good with the bad, All right, sorry, continue.
There's something about being stuck on something, like having an issue, looking at it too much, doing too much of it, that makes you really a little crazy about it. And you just don't see things in a good light that way, because there's too much clouding your brain. So in any case, I would like to implore people to take a break this summer, okay? Have fun. Football's right around the corner. We can have fun when it begins. Talk to you later. Ciao.
Well, I can't say I disagree with you, although I can't necessarily condone people stopping listening to the podcast. But, take that for what it's worth. Please don't leave me, but also if you need a break, I understand. But also, please don't leave me because I'm trying not to go crazy and I could use your help. All right, I tell you what, why don't we get up out of here? Again, appreciate all the callers. Keep them coming because, again, we still have 7 calls, which is not terrible, but it's just enough to kind of like throw a couple here and there in the meantime. So up to you. I know there's not much to talk about, and I don't feel. I know a lot of times people will call in. They're like, "Yeah, so you said call in, and I don't really know what to say, but you told me to." So I mean, I appreciate it, but if you have a thought, right, as far as like I was talking about, legitimate questions, like legitimate things that I was thinking about this, or can you look into this? And I know I don't usually do a very good job with that, but I think this time of year I might end up doing more digging just because we need it. So feel free to call in with maybe some more stimulating questions / research projects or whatever. All right. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.